My name is Mackenzie, and I'm a certified esthetician and nutritionist, and this is my husband, David.
Hi guys, I'm a certified husband.
He also works with a ministry called In Christ Ministries, and he also helps with Flatirons Community Church. So if you've seen my first video, then you know that I was diagnosed with herpes in 2015, right after we got married. This was a very intense find out, I guess you could say, and we had to go through it together as a couple. While this is a health and wellness channel, very much what we've learned throughout the past 3.5 years since finding out, we also have really depended more on our faith than ever when finding out. And I wanted to bring David in actually to kind of talk about how this news affected him as a man and as a husband. I'm sure David will get to explain more of this, but just very much how the lies, the deceiver, and the old man really attacked him and his identity as a man and a husband. So,
as far as right now, I do have a cold sore right here. Plain and simple, it's all from sugar and stress. So when I get extremely stressed, you know, when there's more cards on the table. As far as stress eating, which I do have a problem with, is I will eat as much gluten and as much sugar as I can, and you know, of course, that results with this guy here. You know, I didn't learn that this was actually herpes until, as funny as it sounds, like my freshman year of college. Like I didn't know that's what it was. I thought it was just something that I got, you know, after the end of a cold, because I was also sick for the past week and a half. Cold sores can't be spread unless it's cut open. Same with simplex 2.
So kind of about how it happened was we're going through a series called Wrestling with God. Like, what were lies that were going through your head, and what was truth that you had to claim?
I would probably say the only kind of lie that I faced was that I'm defective. You take a look at what marriage is supposed to be, and marriage is this amazing thing that's been gifted and something that should be cherished, and isn't that view anymore with a lot of people, because either they've been hurt or they've been through a divorce with like a family member, or you know, mom and dad, like my parents. I almost wanted to take it as almost like a stab in the back almost. I didn't want a marriage that would end in that way. When I finally had something like that, it was like, well, now she's got herpes and you gave it to her, so you're defective. The truth that I really had to cling to is that A, I'm not defective. B, there had to have been a lot of steps taken apart from God that caused it. And God, you know, God isn't the one that is to blame. He's not. It was a whole me, myself, and I kind of deal. You know, praying with him. Okay, I need to hold on to this truth, because it's not, you know, if I keep holding on to the lie, it's never going to fix itself, and it's never going to be something I can get past. You know, with Mackenzie and that fear, you know, there was a time where I very much was like, well, it can't get any better than this, you know, because it's like I'm struggling through this, and now I have a wife that, you know, that doesn't want to be with me or be around me because I don't want to do this. So it was a lot of prayer, holding on to that truth that this, you know, that this marriage is going to keep itself on the structure of who God is. I mean, it hurt. A lot of people have a misinterpretation that when you're a Christian, everything's better. I mean, it very much is a storm-proof life,
but not storm-free life. And
so, you know, with that storm came a lot of other stuff, like cars breaking down and other things like that. Our first year was awful.
It was really bad, but it was really good.
It was really good because it You know, God carried our marriage straight through it, and
our dependence.
right, our dependence on Him grew tremendously. And I learned a little bit on, you know, the role of a husband, a godly husband, what that looks like, what that means for my wife, and that wrestling with God. But
that was a hard message.
Yeah,
wrestling with God was a hard message for both of us.
It was, and a lot of people think it's easy being a Christian, but it, you know, it's not. It's not. I mean, it makes dealing with the circumstances easier because you have something to lean on when things get tough. It's not easy, you know.
Well, I would not change, you know, definitely not being a virgin when we got married. I would not change that. That was something very special to both of us. But I very much wrapped my identity around that, and I think that was even the harder part. This is my identity, this is my identity, this is something I'm very proud of, this is something I very much stand on, and when you get married, the identity goes away. I think I replaced the identity with, the one that has herpes. And for many years, it was very much like, I'm the one battling it, and while, yes, I'm the one that had the outbreak, and going back to the identity side of things, it became like a reminder of like, no, this is not just you that's going through this is your marriage going through it. When we do talk about the amount of stress that came up to that year of a marriage, you know, the first year is usually supposed to be this honeymoon phase. Even before Christmas, we got herpes. My dad got his lung removed. My parents found the videos about Truth About Cancer, and that whole situation of finding out that maybe chemo wasn't the right thing. Both of our cars broke down. We had a $900 ticket because we couldn't move our car. But through all that, and my dog died. That was probably one of like the cherry on top. And it was just this downward spiral. But you look at all that tragic stuff, and then you re-look at it, and it's like, oh my gosh, God was intimately involved in every step of the way. You know, my dad got his lung removed, but look at the story that's even come from that ever since then. Like, thank goodness we found Truth About Cancer. When our cars broke down, my uncle willingly fixed his car for free. Like, no charge at all. When we got the ticket, I actually ended up getting my school loan, exact identical amount that we needed to pay that ticket. And they even dropped the fee. So it was more than that. And the same day that we found out that they had dropped or discounted it because of the whole situation, I got my school loan that same morning. When both of our cars were broken down, my sister actually lived an exit away from us, and she drove us to school, and our schedules were almost identical. And so there was so much, like, you could focus on, like, wow, your life sucked. But there was so much glory in the midst of that really hard time of, even though God was not the cause of any of those, He was very much like, hey, I'm going to walk through this with you because you're my children. And I'm not going to just leave you hanging. Like, it's tough, and I can't bail you out, but let's focus on the glory of who I am in and through this. But how do you feel like God has revealed health and wellness through all those tragic times? You were not a holistic living kid. I kind of was. My mom, we never went to the doctor. Very much more, my mom has kind of like gotten more into the holistic living and kind of shoved that on us, or I guess we kind of jumped in. But how has that been as a husband to jump in with me?
It's been great.
Has it been weird?
No. I would say on my own, like without my parents, I never had to go to the doctor. Like the only times that I've ever had to go was for physicals for sports. My parents would have me go and get immunized, so just a bunch of shots, and that was pretty much it. Those were like my two main doctor visits of the year. So it wasn't a crazy big shock. I mean, I haven't, like, even for my cold, I haven't taken cough medicine for like 4 years.
We don't use Tylenol on a regular basis at all, unless it's like worst case scenario. And a lot of what we learned about health and wellness was actually from a chiropractor in Denver that we found. And he just talked a lot about toxicity and allowing the body to heal, which kind of led us to where we are now. I feel like it's been an uphill battle, kind of going through like the whole pregnancy and everything, knowing what we know, but not necessarily applying it. And not till recently did we really decide to like, hey, we should probably take this seriously, because we were just kind of looking from an outside perspective of our health and looking at where we were going. I think just looking at the broad spectrum of like, okay, Oakland's going to be eating food, and what habits is she going to pick up? Mm-hmm. Or, are we going to be the parents that are sitting on the bench, or are we going to go play with them on the park? And it just kind of hit us where it's like, man, we should probably get our health together in a serious way. And I just kind of started doing more research, even more on skin and the inflammation that is in our gut. And we're kind of going through our recent adventure is me being vegetarian and him not. And while you're not this insane meat eater, no. Just kind of that, like, how do we cook? And it just makes things really interesting and all.
A lot of the times when Mackenzie wants to jump into something, she drags me in. So
I don't like doing things alone.
No, she doesn't. So I was a vegan with her for an entire year, which actually opened my eyes to a lot of things. I think for me, like, yeah, my health was awesome, my energy was high, and everything like that. And while I am starting to increase my physical activity, because over having Oakland and stuff, it just kind of dwindled down, and we got more into taking care of her, and not enough time but not wanting to cook, to exercise, to anything like that, because it's draining. It's hard. It just wasn't anything we wanted to do. And so when we're talking about getting started again, and so kind of where I'm at right now is if there's a day that I just don't feel like eating meat, I won't eat meat.
And we're not huge dairy consumers either, unless it's like half and half, or if it's ghee or kind of stuff like that. But we really don't have a lot of dairy in our house.
Mm-hmm. And so, I'm not entirely into labels very much. And so, so there will be days where I eat completely, without meat, or there will be days where I am, doing something keto, clean keto, including your avocados and your healthy fats like olive oil and avocado oil, and so
the healthy fats, not the processed fats.
So just like that, and if I want to eat paleo, I'll eat paleo, and if so I'm not into labels, but I would rather have a full spectrum of what I can eat instead of focusing on just one type of food, and then that's how I live. I like having a variety of what I want to eat, because at least for me, I can't have that kind of restriction. But to be able to say, okay, so for lunch, I'm going to have a chicken taco bowl or whatever, and then for dinner, I'm going to have a vegan pizza or whatever, so having those options, I think, has been really beneficial for me, because it's not like, oh, I'm going out to have lunch with Mackenzie, or I'm going to have dinner, we're going to have dinner with friends. Well, I can't eat half of anything on this menu, So it's just kind of like being able to have that, but also being consistent with the lifestyle that I want to live, which is eating natural and whole foods.
I think that pretty much sums up. This was a very broad video from our health journey to our belief journey, and how God's kind of been involved in our health and wellness, as well as just our faith in general and kind of that spike and everything. While this is more my channel, I think it's really important for people or women to see a supportive husband in that role of, even with just food, like how does that work out? And while we are very much on the same track in most things, there is somewhat of that split now where it's like, okay, he has to be just kind of conscious about, like, when we do go out to eat, like, can Mackenzie eat something? And very much grace in that as well. Like, I'm not judging him for not hopping on board with me. But this was a very broad video, and I think it was good. I think my heart was for him to be able to kind of explain his faith, his role in that, and his spiritual leadership, and how God has played a role in our whole life. All right, thanks you guys so much for joining. I'm sorry it's been a long time since our video. I'm going to do some editing because right now we're at 30 minutes and 45 seconds. And so I am going to try to get that down to at least half because that is a very long video. So we
this
will.
This is going to be cut out too, don't worry.
So we will see you guys later. And look forward to seeing you guys next time.